Pirates of the Caspian Sea. Genoa is a city whose history has been permeated with the smell of the sea. The piratic galleon Neptune. One might climb up the shrouds or grapple. This is a truly unusual museum, but the opponent is not seen on the horizon. One will need to reconstruct historical reality by using imagination. Saraichik, of course, wasn't fired at by such guns. This is a much later construction, and anyway, such abundance of guns observed here was not featured on the pirate ships. Pirate ships were, as a rule, small vessels, and their seafaring qualities were most appreciated. Sudden onslaught, siege of the prey and escape, that was just as fast from the crime scene. Was everything like that or not really? And why is Western Kazakhstan archaeological gem, the city of Saraichik, connected with this? The Pirates of the Caspian Sea is at the world's end. Chapter 1. On Stranger Tides. The ancient metropolis Saraichik was one of the largest cities in the Golden Horde. It measured 10 kilometers in length and almost the same distance in width. By the end of the 14th century, it was a unique resort center, and the entire elite would be coming over here for hunting. It was magnificent and affluent, containing hotels, caravanserais, both Chinese and Indian, suited to any taste, supermarkets and countries with delicacies brought in from all across the world, and even ceramic water pipe. Locals lived in gentrified houses, and even such sewage systems were connected to the households. Houses were white, fish was dried out on rooftops, there were lots of hammered and ceramic workshops as well as its own mint. English traveller Jenkinson was here. He wrote that he'd stopped over in Saraichik and realized that over a month, up to 700 caravans arrive here. He added that whatever one is looking for, they will always find it. Only a few meters have remained from the metropolis. It now contains only fragments and crocks. Nothing really reminds about its former might. 1.5 meters of the shore is being washed away by the river every year. If things continue this way, in around 5 to 10 years, the city will be ruined. Meanwhile, in medieval Europe, travelers knew very well this city on the bank of Ural and even advised to sell cloth and buy bullions. On many ancient maps, the city is hallmarked as Sarakando. For instance, on the maps of brothers Pizzigani and Fra Mauro. There is the Catalan atlas made in 1375 by mapmaker Crest, and which shows Khan Janibek. Until today, researchers argue over what Khan Janibek is holding in his arms. In his left hand, he is holding something resembling a sphere, and around him are pillows, and another 6 spheres in the place where he is sitting. The mysterious spheres are almost like gold gems found in Saraichik, and those depicted on the map could have been literally anything. They could be the symbol of power, an ancient scepter, or a medicinal capsule. Some believed that they were designed to keep medicines based on mercury. But that is a bomb, a real bomb. This is the bomb which the pirates used in their attacks. Chapter 2. The Curse of the Gold Pearl. The bombardment was so unexpected that very soon the entire seaside part of the city was burning. Bombs were flying some 200 to 250 meters from the shore, and upon falling on flat cane rooftops they quickly caught fire. The recently awoken city started panicking. Those were firebombs. They had 2 holes for burnt lime. They used to pour something in. The water would get inside, and the bomb ignited. The pirates shelled the city from the sea, and the bombs were launched through a catapult. There was a version like that. They had light galleys furnished with bolt throwers. with the help of which to fortify the Golden Horde cities, one could break up the settlement into burning globes. Traces of these missiles can be seen in Laeti Aktobe, situated not far from Saraichik. Its burnt-out cane roofs, as archaeologists think, are the result of firing by earthen spheres. The oil-blazing shell was held by a savage pirate. Without delay, Farhad drew a bowstring and sent an arrow into the oil vessel. He didn't miss a tip. The vessel broke and kindled a flame of the launcher attached to him, and the boat was embraced by fire.
Наваи будет писать о том, каким образом Фархад выстреливал из своего...
Navai will write how Farhad fired from his bow that would then hit the sphere, and the sphere was full of some oil mix.
Взрывается. А шар этот был уже в те времена наполнен какой-то нефтяной смесью.
It seems like Alisher Navai is writing about the Saraichik tragedy, even though for him those are the events that had taken place 100 years ago. The same shells and sea robbers. Apparently piratic raids were normal at that time. They attacked the city at the dawn. It was the best time to catch the scarce security off the guard.
Утром, когда еще город только спал, они за криком бакланов.
In the morning, when the city was still sleeping, they followed the screams of gannets, who soared up in the sky, and they followed them to hide behind the noise.
За этим шумом спрятаться.
The bird army was soon approaching the sleepy city. Behind the gannets, trying to not scare the birds away, and at a distance from them, 3 galleys rose up. The noise of the bird hunting prevented the sleepy guards from recognizing the imminent calamity. They attacked unexpectedly, threw a few bombs, and perhaps there are still some on the territory. Such imprudence of strangers was perfectly justifiable. Saraichik, strengthened by the earth bank from the side of Ural, was protected only by the height of the shore. They were not only doing piracy, they were in the Caspian region, and apparently at that time information leaked very well to the wider public. So that wasn't just a one-off attack. No, of course not. It might not have been regular. But that danger was always around from these people who pilfered the seaside towns. The city withstood, and the aggressors didn't really plan to conquer it. The pirates mainly came for live goods. That was the most profitable procurement at that time. They found it profitable to capture people and sell them. Strong and sturdy men were appreciated in the East. Knaves were in high demand in Europe. It is very unlikely, though, that the pirates chose men as their spoil. Too much trouble with strong and belligerent men. Everything was a lot easier with women. How many could they take in one go? Around 10 people, women and boys. Along Ural to the Caspian Sea, and then to Tbilisi, and later on the Rioni River to the Black Sea. And there is Kefe, which is Genoa's trade factory and the largest Black Sea slave market in the 14th century. From there the goods were sent over to Europe. The sources give a clear indication that Genoa and Venice strived to spread their influence to the Caspian region, and a certain number of pirates was known, so the facts are out there. At that time, Genoa was a powerful sea power, and of course many pirates started their life here, and all the loot obtained from all parts of the continent, somewhere or around, would end up in the Genoese colonies. More likely, the uninvited guests came from Genoa. Matthew Polo, the father of famous Marco Polo, saw Genoese people on the Caspian shore. They were building on the southern shores of the Galley. Chapter 3. Dead man's chest. Not a single dead man's chest, and instead of the parrot, only rats. One of scores of them is lingering in a barrel with salt beef. It's difficult to even reach it. At the same time, the rest of it all can be touched, poured and tried on. This is the Genoese Maritime Museum. Hello. I'm not playing today because I was taken to the cleaners. This is the most common scenario how people turned into pirates. A nobleman would usually put together a gang like himself and hit the road trying to find happiness and money. So I'm not playing anymore.
Набирает ватагу таких же молодцов, как он, и идет на просторы большой романтики пытать счастье и искать денег. Так что все, я не играю.
Interpretation is more liberal but more or less verifiable, including the fact that it was made for the 14th century.
Кто там на этих пиратских
Noblemen who
кораблях?
scattered to the winds and some trash were on those ships.
Непотребные шваль.
Among the most notable people are Genoese Luciano Tarigo, who was either an impoverished nobleman or a merchant who after the robbery started committing banditry. The fact of Luciano's arrival falls to the date of year 1374. Some say that Tarigo had a flotilla of 30 ships and the bays where attacks were planned out. Some large competition made Luciano turn the galleys to the east, and the moment was chosen very successfully. In 1360, the Golden Horde seized the period of feudal wars that had lasted for more than 20 years. In the Golden Horde, we had around 15 Khans. The time of perturbation could be used by external forces. Genoa was also among the external powers. The history of complex relations started very well. In the 13th century, Khan Mengu Timur allowed Venetian and Genoese negotiators to found their representative offices in the Horde, and a lot of people who loved easy pickings occupied some new spaces. At the turn of the 14th century, animosity flared up between the Golden Horde and Genoa, and this also led to a lot of robbery assaults. They had an opportunity to come out to the Caspian Sea, and they could have done that easily. A group of adventure seekers on lighter ships first of all reached the Don, and for a few kilometers the pirates who were pulling dragged their galleys up to Volga, and then to the Caspian Sea. It was a no distance. This is a light galley. It's enough for a team. The guys are strong and fit. It is known that the Caspian incursions of Tarigo ended not very successfully, with the loot having been captured but not all was delivered. On the way, they were robbed by trade colleagues, and this once again proves that piracy in the region was common. But only Luciano went down in history. Perhaps this is the only case that had been recorded, and the story about this expedition is being stored in Genoa Library. This is Saraichik 7 centuries later. Time goes very slowly, but it steadily rubs out the traces of piratic attack. 3 piratic galleys came up closely to the city. Silence which reigned on the docks was disrupted by loud shouts. On each of the 3 galleys, people went to the catapults. Some short, abrupt commands were voiced, and earthen spheres soared up, and fire was falling to pieces. This is the way everything happened, researchers say. However, confusion and panic continued for a short time. Saraichik guardsmen have more likely resisted the attack, but nobody followed the gentleman of fortune. It's unlikely that nomads were comparable with the Genoese and the naval craft. So after taking the loot, the robbers continued their journey. The pirates of the Caspian Sea were at world's end. Perhaps only he could tell the story of how everything happened in reality. But Ural is keeping silence and unhurriedly carries its waters. Its tall waves are breaking on Saraichik's high bank, taking away the secrets of the ancient town.